Hey, Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS, here with another epic swag bag, and got some stuff I purchased, some stuff that I got through Patreon, different things. So I just wanted to show off. Recently, I had to go into Walmart. Now, I personally don't like Walmart. I try to avoid it at all costs, but I found some things, and Sonic related. First off, here is Sonic, specifically from the IDW. They did have some of the Sonic Prime stuff, but they didn't have 9s, which is what I would have wanted. But they did have this from the IDW, and it's part of the Metal Virus arc. You have Froggy there, full things. I don't know why he wasn't with Biggs. Maybe they didn't make a Biggs character, but here with Sonic, you got the back. It's showing the comic. Now, I definitely wanted to pick this up just because I think this arc was amazing. I actually think that it was a really big high early on in the IDW book, and I think the book has struggled to get that kind of high sense. They did do well with Scourge and Kip, Sumi in their arc, but the Metal Virus arc, like, it had some real stakes, a lot of heartfelt moments. Really kind of took the brand to a higher level than even the games ever have, in my opinion, for the kind of the heart and the writing and stuff in that. And so the fact that they actually made toys based on an arc in the comic book, which is something they have not done before, really, really impressed me, and I wanted to support that, especially since, you know, there's some things going on with the comics now that I'm not as thrilled about, but this was a peak, and I want them to know I want more of this. So I had to get that. Plus, just as part of my patronage to Segabits, they have the Sega Talk podcast, and their next one, they're actually going to be talking about this arc in the comics because I had requested it, and that's a perk of being a patron of Segabits and the Sega Talk podcast, is that you can pick the subject, whether it's a game, a character, whatever, from the Sega library, the company, a system. You pick what they're going to talk about, and then they do a deep dive into the creation of it, the story up behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff, and present that. So that should be coming out probably within a week or so of me posting this video, if I post it on time. Now, the other thing I got, and they had this, I was going between this and the Knuckles one. The Tails one kind of looked weird, but there's just something, this is kind of like, as you see, he's stretchy, he glows in the dark, but there was just the packaging. I just liked how chunky he looked in this. And so I just kind of, you know, I liked the look of it. I'm not like, I never had a Stretch Armstrong or something like that. I didn't really want him for the stretching, which is what it's for, but I just liked his appearance in this, the little chubbiness to it. So those were fun. And like this, for those that don't know, the Metal Virus arc, Eggman creates a metal virus that basically spreads by touch and completely turns people into robotic zombies. So very fun stuff. Now, something I'm a fan of, I've done a few reactions to Death Battle. I've recorded a lot more. I have not wanted to become a reactor and get pigeoned into that corner. I know there's a lot of people, they start doing Death Battle reactions and then they garner my tongue, an audience for it, and then they get hounded to do the next one, and I do one here and there, and I have some that I've recorded that I may at some point post, but they went independent. They were part of the huge thing, you know, all the stuff that's going on with AT&T and Warner, then going over to Warner Discovery Media, and now being bought by Netflix, and all the stuff that's the drama that's going on. That something that some people don't know is that YouTube channels had been picked up by AT&T and merged into Warner Media, And when they were sold to Discovery didn't want them, so it closed a lot of them down. Stuff like Rooster Teeth. Before that, it was Screw Attack. Actually, quite a number of YouTube channels, and some of them have bought themselves back. Rooster Teeth, the original owner, bought that. He's going to be doing something different, but the guys that were originally Screw Attack, then they got folded into Rooster Teeth, and they created Deathbattle. They bought the Deathbattle name. They went independent. They did all that, but one of the things that they did is they came out with these Utes, which is U2's collectors things, and this was an early thing. This was like a year ago that they came with this, and it finally got produced. But this is Boomstick, one of the hosts of Deathbattle. He's kind of a redneck that's all knowledge about all things guns and weapons, and I really like Boomstick as a comical character. I know in recent years they've kind of tried to, sanitize him a little bit. When he was pretty gruff early on, but I kind of liked that. He was not supposed to be a PC character. He wasn't a character that I idolized, but he was fun. He was, and ex-wife number 6 or whatever, kind of went on. But just everything, the solution was get my gun. And so, but he brings a lot of comic relief to that, voiced by Chad James. So real fun, but they just did a lot of detail on this, and this was like a fun thing. Of course, I definitely want a Wiz one, so I hope they do that. But it took like a year from the time this got approved, funded, everybody ordered them, to them actually coming out. So glad to finally have it. All right. Next up, got some more comics from Sean with his Smacked in the Head series. And pull these out. So there, looking at his comic, this is issue number 3, and I got both the standard and that, and I got them both signed by Sean. Really like that. Pull the other one out. So it's the standard cover and the alternate cover. Sean, he does a lot of our Quantum Leap, or now TV Revisited, over on the Price of Reason Live channel with me, and he goes into that and does that. But he's someone who went to school to get into this industry, and then there's his parents' comic shop. So definitely check them out. They got a lot of stuff great there to get. But he's a great artist, and so I really want to see his artwork, get fully on display here. Let's see, what's a good... There's a good alien guy. So you just, it's kind of a little Flash Gordon, a little Star Warsy, but great story. And he's such a great artist. The Real Sean Crummell, if you want to check out his YouTube channel, he does the two things that I definitely recommend on that channel. Is he does art, well, he kind of talks snarky about the industry today, or he has videos where like he'll review classic comics, and not the, he's not reviewing the big things like Batman, or like he's doing like a caveman comic, or something out of the ordinary that's always like fun find, because it's not the typical thing that you think of when you think of classic comics. You're thinking, oh yeah, well, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. But no, he's going out there getting that kind of that fun, obscure stuff. There's tons of comics out there, and so it's wonderful to look through that. Okay, now, last but not least, as I mentioned, just at the beginning, I am part of the Red 5 network, And as that, I support a lot of the other red fibers, and one of them is the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, the Podfather Ro, and his co-host Brad, and they sent me this. So let's go through, and we'll read that last. First thing here, R2's D2's Guide to Folding and Doodling. 70 things to fold and draw. So this is interesting. He knows I'm a huge R2D2 fan. Droids are kind of my main thing. Okay, and so then how to draw and fold and make a Vader puppet, Chewbacca puppet. Okay. But then there's like how to draw some of the creatures there. How to draw your AT-AT. Yeah, I know Rose says at, so he's probably going to get mad. I'm holding this book from him and I'm saying AT-AT. But that is how they said it in the video games back in the 90s and how they said it in the audio dramas. So that has always been what I thought was the official way to say it. I've never thought to say at. We get a little, it's called a Biddy Pop. So it's a really tiny Funko Pop in there. Luke Skywalker and his speeder from A New Hope, which is my favorite one. And then I love the little instructions on the back because that looks nothing like the land speeder. But and then that picture there, what it looks like. So that's cool. Unlike Ro, I open these things. Okay. So, little teeny tiny Funko box. And this is a hard box, so how does it, okay, like that. Oh, and so it comes up the bottom and clicks in. So now we see Luke. He's got to get back to see his aunt, uncle, Brew, fried there. Because obviously, if he has that, that's what he's doing. Okay, this one. It's got the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast logo on, and let's see what this is. Oh, okay, this is a notebook. I was like, he made a book. But yeah, so a notebook there that I can use. And of course, Backyard Treasures. Everybody knows I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. Doctor Who, How to Be a Time Lord official guide. I like the gearworks there. We got my favorite Doctor, Peter Capaldi there. Matt Smith, he's in my top 5. Those who know, though, the rest out of my top 5 are all classic Doctors. Those are the 2 modern Doctors, actually. Yeah, I know I'm not conformative. I don't put David Tennant in my top 5, and my classic Doctor choices are probably not conformative too. Avoiding extermination. Ood. Ooh, the Master. Of course, Robert Delgado will always be the Master. But I really like the War Master. That is one that he was super brief. Didn't really get to experience him as a villain, but he definitely has been fun in the audio dramas. We got some First Doctor there, the Ronnie. Ooh. So, human Time Lords, okay. Or kind of alternate, like, so the Doctor's daughter, which is actually David Tennant's wife. Kind of weird. River Song. Spoilers. the meta crisis, like human clone of the Doctor, and then when Donna Noble became half Time Lord. So kind of going into that, some stuff on Omega. So that's cool. There's so much in this. Lots of different. How to be the Doctor. Oh, this is going to be for those looking forward to Matt Smith being the Doctor. I mean, being in Star Wars. He is a guy who has such a range. He can go from looking extremely young and boyish to being incredibly young. Ooh. Okay, so this is going through all the companions. This actually will be a really big help because I've been wanting to do a ranking of all Doctor Who companions. So some of those early ones, they were there only for brief periods of time. People like Vicky, Victoria, most of her episodes are lost. Dodo was very, very short. Polly won't be ranking high. Perry, Chameleon. That was a wacky character. But they put Chameleon. I don't see K9 in here. That's a crime. Sontarans, Silurians. Oh yeah, going through. Okay, yeah. This is great. Thank you, Ro. I'm really, really liking this. This is cool. Okay, to end us out, we've got a letter from Ro. Oh, he's got some swag in here too, so we got to show these off. So there's a Scarif podcast, and I think this is one of those AI generated images he does, but kind of looks a little like Ultron. There, that's kind of cool. Standard Scarif podcast there. Of course, Conversations, also part of the Red 5 network. And honestly, if you want to laugh, you need to put this in your podcast feed. Some Red 5 network stickers. This one's cool, kind of a little astronaut guy. It's not really showing up well on the camera, but that's pretty cool. And then another science fictionary. This another podcast of the Red 5 Network, and one that I have been on a number of times. And they're pillars of fantasy and pillars of sci-fi series. So definitely check those out. Okay, now our card. Dearest, Nick just wanted to send you a few items to say a heartfelt thank you. Hope you keep some notes in the Scarif notebook, and maybe you and your daughter can do Star Wars paper art. Hugs, Ro and Brad. Well, thank you both, Ro and Brad. And a few things. You sent me a bunch of things. I know I've been a patron for a long time, but I cannot stress this enough that Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, they're very generous to their listeners, especially if you interact with them. Not only by following them on Patreon, that is a big part of it. They always give back to the ones that do that, but they have constant contests where they give out gifts. I've showed off many things that I've won off of their podcast before in the past, as well as just commenting and interacting. They are a podcast that wants to interact with you. And primarily, they can be found on Twitter. Won't call it X, it's Twitter. It will always be Twitter. So, with that, a little bit on Discord, a little bit on, I think Ro does Instagram, I'm not sure. But, most definitely they're on Twitter. You can find them, and of course, on the podcast feed, whether it's on YouTube. They have some stuff that's YouTube specific, some stuff that's just through audio, But good stuff there. Was recently on it talking some Battlestar Galactica 1980. Yes, that Battlestar Galactica. But we had some fun. And so thank you both for all this. And, you know, all this swag, whether it's, you know, stuff that I was picking up, the, you know, wonderful comics here I got from Sean, there's Smack to the Head, and you know, supporting people going independent. You know, love to get this stuff, and so I'll catch you in the next swag grab bag, and that's the Scuttlebutt.